The wind always carried voices in Dusthaven. Some towns carried hymns, others the clang of silver or the clatter of railroads. But Dusthaven? Dusthaven carried gossip. Whispers drifted down its one crooked street like tumbleweeds, and no soul was safer from them than Evelyn Hart. She walked that street now. A loaf of bread hugged her chest, her shawl pulled up though the day was not cold. Heads turned as they always did. Children stared until their mothers pulled them close. Too late to stop a finger pointing at the jagged scar that cut across Evelyn's cheek. An old burn, a fire's kiss from when she was a girl. They say no man will take her. Too ugly to wed. Best she learned to live alone. The words brushed her back like nettles. She never turned, never answered. She walked steady, her eyes fixed on the crooked church steeple that rose at the end of the street, her lips pressed tight to keep the trembling inside her from spilling out. Once, Evelyn had been promised. Once, there had been laughter in her father's kitchen, a suitor's voice warm with dreams of a house and children. Then the fire took her smooth skin, and with it, the suitor's courage. He left as all men left. Her father, shamed, stopped trying. Evelyn became a shadow in her own town, a ghost that stirred only enough to fetch bread, water, or cloth. But there was one pair of eyes that never looked away in mockery, from the wooden steps of the sheriff's office. Colton Reyes leaned on the post, hat low, a limp in his left leg betraying some war he never spoke of. His face was weathered, scarred too, though not by flame, but by years of dust and violence. He watched Evelyn, and when she passed, he tipped his hat, not out of pity, but with the quiet respect of one survivor to another. Her breath caught. For a heartbeat, the whispers fell away, and it was just the weight of his eyes and the faint creak of leather as he straightened his back. Then the voices surged again, and Evelyn clutched the bread harder and hurried on. That evening, Evelyn went to the well at the edge of town. The sun bled red into the horizon, shadows stretching long. The rope was rough against her hands, frayed with use. As she pulled, her strength faltered. The bucket slipped, clattering against stone. Laughter rose from nearby. 3 men leaning against a hitching post, their boots dusty, their smiles cruel. "Careful now, miss," one called. "Water might jump out and bite you same as the fire did." The others roared. Evelyn bent low, scrambling for the bucket, her face hot with shame though her scar could not burn twice. Boot steps crossed the dirt. The laughter died in a cough. A hand, steady and sure, lifted the bucket before she could. Sheriff Colton stood there, the weight of his presence enough to send the men shuffling back like boys caught stealing. He said nothing, only held the bucket out. His hand was broad, scarred, the veins dark with age and work. His gaze never strayed to the mark on her face. Evelyn reached. Her fingers brushed with where his had rested. A strange warmth pulsed into her chest, foreign, dangerous. She took the bucket, whispered, "Thank you." Colton only nodded once, tipped his hat, and walked away. His limp was slow, deliberate, a man unashamed of the pace his body allowed him. Evelyn stood by the well long after, holding the bucket as if it weighed the world. That night, she did not sleep. She sat by the oil lamp, hand pressed to her cheek, whispering the memory of his touch. Days passed. Whispers carried, as they always had. Evelyn moved through them like a wraith. But something had shifted in her steps, lighter, if only by a hair. She went to the well again, though she had water enough at home. The rope was brittle. As she pulled, it splintered. A strand whipped across her palm, biting deep. She gasped, the bucket slipping and splashing her dress. Blood welled in her hand. "Hold still." His voice was gravel, low and certain. Colton was there again, as if the dust itself had carried him. He took her hand without asking, pulled a kerchief from his breast pocket, and wrapped it tight around the wound. The cloth smelled of tobacco, leather, and the faint musk of horse. Evelyn's breath trembled. No man had touched her so gently in years. When he finished, he tied the knot with soldier precision, then met her eyes. His were dark, storm-heavy, but not unkind. "Scars don't make you less," he said. "They make you lived." Evelyn swallowed, her lips parting but no sound came. Her heart beat so hard she feared he might hear it. He released her hand, but the warmth lingered. Colton tipped his hat and turned, limping back toward town. Evelyn's knees weakened. She pressed a bandaged hand to her chest, the scent of him still clinging to the cloth. From that day, the well became something else, a place not of thirst, but of chance. They crossed there often, speaking little, but each nod, each shared silence, felt like a thread binding them closer. Evelyn began to measure her days not by bread or sewing, but by whether she glimpsed the sheriff's shadow in the dust. When word spread that a dance would be held at the hall, fiddles brought in from Copper Creek, lanterns hung high, Evelyn told herself she did not care. She had never been asked, never been wanted. Yet as the night came, she found herself standing outside, shawl wrapped tight, listening to the laughter that spilled through the open windows. Through the glass she saw Colton inside, stiff in his Sunday coat. Women asked him for a dance, but he shook his head each time. His eyes seemed to scan the crowd, searching, restless. Evelyn's chest ached at the thought. He did not know she was there, standing in shadow. A group of young men, already drunk, staggered out into the street. One saw her. His grin curled wicked. "Look here, boys. The fire bride's waiting her turn." They jeered, circling her. One bowed low in mockery. "Care to dance, miss? Sheriff's inside. Maybe he needs a partner with fire on her face." Laughter roared. Evelyn's throat closed. The street spun. She wanted to run, but her legs refused. Then boots struck the dirt, sharp and heavy. The laughter cut like a blade. Sheriff Colton stood in the doorway, shoulders broad, jaw set hard as stone. His eyes burned hotter than any flame. Without a word, he crossed to Evelyn, his limp no weakness but a march of purpose. He took her hand, rough fingers wrapping tight around hers. The hall fell silent. The fiddle stilled mid-note. Whispers slithered like snakes in the hush. Colton lifted her hand high for all to see. His voice rang out, firm and measured. "A man who mocks a woman's scars is weaker than the fire that made them." The crowd shifted. Men looked to the floor, shamed. Women bit their lips, unsure. Evelyn's breath came shallow, her eyes locked on the sheriff's profile, unshaken, immovable. He did not let go. Instead, he led her into the hall, through the parted crowd. For Evelyn, each step was a battle between terror and wonder. She wanted to hide. She wanted never to let go. The fiddle struck up again, tentative. Colton turned to her, one hand on her waist, the other still holding hers. They swayed, not with grace, but with something heavier, truer. Evelyn's tears slipped free, falling against his coat. She let her head rest against him. For the first time since the fire, she felt more than what the whispers named her, more than a scar, more than a burden. She was a woman in a man's arms, dancing, and the world could watch. The whispers swelled again, but before they could twist into laughter, Colton stopped. He went to one knee, the floorboards groaning beneath him. Gasps rippled. From his pocket, he drew a simple silver ring, worn but polished. His voice did not falter. "Evelyn Hart, will you be my wife?" Her breath shattered. The room spun in stunned silence. Men exchanged looks. Women covered their mouths. Evelyn trembled, her heart hammering against her ribs. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried. "Yes." Colton slid the ring onto her scarred hand, kissed her knuckles slow, reverent. Then he turned to the crowd. "This is the bravest woman in Dust Haven, and she is mine." The hall went quiet as a church. No laughter dared rise again. Gossip, that wind that had hounded her all her life, was silenced in a single vow. Evelyn, once ghost, once shame, stood in the sheriff's arms, a bride not hidden but claimed before all. And I tell you this, friend, remember it well. Beauty fades. Gossip dies. But a hand held steady in shame can become a torch against the darkness. Evelyn walked in whispers once, but she left in song.